There's that music again, everybody. I recognise it, at least, and I'm sure a few others do. And the clock ticking at the front of the room's just started from its 30-minute journey. And luckily, we've got three brilliant people for me to get out of the way of to have our last fireside chat of the day around what's really driving AI transformation in higher education. And look, we've already established that a session without a North American voice leaves us incomplete in so many ways, and I'm delighted to leave you in the hands of my friend Manuela Franceschini, who's got the best job title of anyone in the world as a pedagogical evangelist with Adobe, to share an introduction to the fireside chat of people that she's about to talk to. Please make them all welcome.
Thank you, Martin. I'm happy to announce that there is a North American representative in this panel as well, also a South African and a Brazilian, so I think we are a multicultural fireside chat here. Let me introduce you to them, although you probably know them very well. Lev Gonick is an educator, a smart city architect, and the CIO of Arizona State University, and it goes without saying, ASU is at the forefront of innovation, ranking #1 in innovation for 10 years in a row now. And Lev is one of the brilliant minds behind this incredible achievement. Thank you for being here today, Lev. And Shainal Kavar drove digital transformation in leading global enterprises before entering the higher education world 2 years ago. I hope it's been a good journey. Shainal signs off the vision that Professor Theo spoke about at the beginning, their AI-first approach that had somehow Lev's input. And we're going to learn more about that. Thank you for being here, Shainal. Lev, your work and ASU's reputation, we know that goes above and beyond, and everyone wants to learn a little bit more about your secret sauce and what does it take to be that innovative in the sector. And Shainal, that was the case for Trobe. You spoke to Lev last year when the strategy was an idea, and you mentioned that he helped unlock the how on your strategy. Can you let us know what did he say that unlocked that?
Sure, thank you. So I had to go back using AI to work out when we met. So it was on the 13th of March, 24. And we had the pleasure of a call with Lev and a number of our senior leaders, and some of them are here today. And learning about just their journey and what Lev has done. And so there's a few things I took away that really stimulated what we've done. One is he set up an AI accelerator task force. He did that by using existing resources. He's head of data and analytics as a standalone team, fully empowered, team of 20, light touch governance, and governance is a big word in a university, appropriate governance, but the ability to get moving. Let's just start exploring and get moving. And we really like that. We like that as an idea to stimulate our thinking, because we had done a fair amount of work on the strategy, policy, and governance. So what we did is thought, we'll just take that idea. We started with 2, not 20, but got moving in 4 weeks. And the whole idea behind that is the only way to do this is you have to act. You have to act and learn and fail. And we were in, I'd say, a very privileged position to have extreme top to bottom support from the university, starting from the Vice Chancellor and the exec team. And that made a huge difference in getting Accelerator up and running. So that idea was thanks to that call with Lev.
And you are the first two representatives, proper representatives of technology at the universities, the decision makers, key decision makers in that sphere at the university. It really relies on you, the power to either block or get to action, right? And your advice to Shainal was act. What would you have liked to know, Lev, if you were having a conversation with yourself many years ago when you started thinking about the AI strategy for ASU, and when AI started emerging at this new disruptive revolution at our time? Is there one thing that you wish you knew you would have done or thought differently that could maybe help us all learn from here today?
I probably didn't shoot far enough or high enough. I didn't move fast enough. I didn't engage wide enough. I didn't actually technically understand just how disruptive this moment is. And I think that although ASU has done remarkable things in the AI journey that we've been on in terms of engagement and scale, there are literally thousands of our academic leaders who have engaged with. There are thousands of research projects. There are tens of thousands of students using our AI. There is next week an announcement that every ASU student will have a personalized AI tutor at the ASU GSV Summit. We're working on not only generative AI and multimodal AI, but now agentic AI. I can talk about all of those things. But all of that was actually, in many ways, not high enough, wide enough, deep enough. And let me just say one word, if I can, about why that's so important to everyone in the room, at least from a technology perspective, because that's the privilege we have at this particular fireside chat. You know, if you follow certainly in my lifetime, the 4 major technology revolutions, I think what I've just said about not thinking high enough, wide enough, deep enough would be the case for the first 3. The web browser, born in the fall of 1993, allowed us to all of a sudden open up our filing cabinets and actually explore them in ways that we'd never been able to do that. And then search. Search was the second major technology. And that allowed us to actually take a look and look what was in the filing cabinets and search across filing cabinets in ways that we'd never been able to do that before. And then when mobile came, we actually could put all that in our pocket. At each one of those times, ASU was able to take the disruptive technology moment and use it, not just to deal with the naysayers and the cynics and the critics who have lots of valid points about why the technology was going to disrupt, but actually positioning ourselves to actually continue to lean into our mission of trying to serve all of our commitments to students' success, student engagement, student inclusion, and student success. This technology is not just about the filing cabinet. It's not just about searching the filing cabinet. It's not just about putting it in your pocket. This is actually now the power of AI, as we're coming to understand it, is actually the ability to synthesize and connect and orchestrate all of those filing cabinets with search and mobile, and actually now turn them from just text-driven experiences into multimodal with voice and video and animation in ways that if all we think this is a conversation about is how this is going to change the way we teach or how we do research, I think we're missing the point. It's what we're going to have to teach. What does it mean to actually show that you have competencies and skills in an AI era? This is not only about the question of how, which is what's occupied most of our conversation today, but also what. And that's the only, I think, unlocking the creative minds of our researchers and our faculty. This is their opportunity to help reinvent. What a privilege that is. And that's why I think this is such an important moment for technologists to partner with other leaders across the university. This is the great unlock of the 21st century.
And is that the wide and deep meaning that you wish you knew years ago? Is that what you
absolutely? Because I thought it was going to be more incremental, and it's only occurred to us in the last 2.5 years that this was more than just an arithmetic equation. This is a geometric condition where the tectonic plates of education are actually in a position to shift if we choose to lean in to describe what it is that people need to learn, research, and do. You know, should every student who is interested and driven by curiosity pursue one degree, or can we imagine now the opportunities for students driven by curiosity to pursue 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees at once simultaneously? Or if you're a student who actually needs the personalized tutor experience because actually you're not academically prepared as some of your peers, then that personalized experience which brings you along in ways that is prompting, engaging, those are things that I wish I had understood was the power of this disruptive mode. And in fact, it's not entirely fair when I look in the mirror, I think someone used looking in the mirror. I think maybe that was Tim earlier in the day, because this is changing so quickly in front of us. This is a moment in time where everyone who's in this enterprise together, here, back in the United States, this is just a fantastic opportunity to see us contributing to the great discovery and the great curiosity opportunities that are in front of us, if only we choose to take advantage of it.
And Lev, you mentioned curiosity, creativity, and that's something that came before when we were talking about these transferable skills. And I think we referred as soft skills as, and I think we moved to calling it transferable because it has this, it leads us to wrongly believe that the soft skills are easier, right? That they are easy, they are the easy ones, and they are in fact the ones that require a lot of nurturing. And I will make a case here, and I would argue that those skills that you've mentioned, and we mentioned before, resilience, curiosity, creativity, critical thinking, empathy, etc., I would say that it boils down to digital storytelling. That being an educated human being, a Gen AI era, implies you being so fluent and agile using the digital tools around you, inclusive AI, that you're able to tell a story, to communicate a knowledge, an idea in a way that is quite personal and authentic.
And authentic, I think, Manuela, is exactly the point here. And we're seeing this actually underway at ASU, and literally dozens and dozens of examples, whether it's in a philosophy class where a professor is interested in helping his students actually learn how to create GPTs with ancient philosophers who don't actually have a dominant, they're literally unknown philosophers. Students uncovering and discovering, learning the tools on how to actually build GPTs, and then creating dialogue, stories among philosophers who have never met about topics they've never debated. What a wonderful opportunity that is to actually unlock curiosity through story. And again, we're seeing this in really important ways, I think, especially with multimodal AI around the use of immersive XR and VR paired with AI to provide that personalized experience so that not everyone goes to the same movie theater. You go to the same immersive experience, but you can have your own personalized journey along the way. And at ASU, some of you know, we have a project called Dreamscape Learn, which is immersive. It has 35,000 students who've already gone through our biology sequence. This year, 20,000 will go through our chemistry, earth and space sciences. These are all immersive, discovery-based, experiential-based, and every student has their own personalized AI, buddy that they work with. And for them, what the students are doing is it's unlocking their ability to tell their own story of the way they're learning biology.
It's the whole notion of capabilities and like bringing their own life experiences to the classroom. And Shainal, I'm interested to know your perspective on what is the role of AI in fostering creativity in the classroom.
We see AI as really fostering creativity if used with intent, really intentional about using it. AI can create content and gather content for you, but the softer skills and the real intelligence and test is how do you curate that, bring different ideas and bring your own perspective and learning to bring that to tell it a coherent story on what you're doing, irrespective of the discipline. So the humanities one is a good one. The same thing applies to law. How do you bring that in a legal sense, which is not an area you traditionally think of on the application of AI. So we're seeing that creativity, the soft skills, is probably an expression of intelligence in the age of AI.
And maybe we need to introduce some new language here, because this idea of soft versus hard is part of a very different era. In the AI era, these are smart skills. These are skills that are about actually what is relevant. And I'll just simply share tonight, we have a friend who's actually just come to Phoenix. She's Brazilian. This is why I want to tell the story very quickly. She's a young student who's applied to ASU's law school, just to connect the dots here. And my wife just picked her up a half an hour ago from the airport and said, Mila, like, why ASU? And she said, because ASU is the only law school in America that is leaning into the use of AI in the law profession, as well as the journey of studying law. And that, there she is. I mean, just a student who is curious and is looking for an experience that will actually allow her to at least fulfill her expectation, her aspirations, that law can be something that is in fact going to be not only catalyze, but could transform the way in which law could be used for good.
Are we ignoring the joy here? Are we losing sight of making the classrooms a joyful place for students?
Yeah, I'm trying to say just the opposite.
No, you are. I mean, in this debate of AI, yes, please, Shainal.
I think that, if I can give an example, if I look at innovation that is driven through our schools and lecturers. So one lecturer has embraced AI and is showing computer science students how he uses AI and how they can use AI to generate code, but to truly transform their skills, which is very different to this is how you code. It's a very simple example, but he's done this purely on his own, using his own initiative to drive it, not run through the center, but the feedback from the students is they absolutely love it, because that's the skill we'd expect when they leave.
Maybe just to add to that, I think a lot of us start with a bit of a bias that, in fact, generative AI is going to be sort of most obviously relevant in the STEM areas. And the stories that I'd like to tell are actually all in the humanities, because it's kind of obvious that it could be supportive of an engineering, a computer science kind of degree. But the largest course at ASU, 25,000 students a year go through our English composition course. And the reinvention of the way in which students get to actually find and explore their voice through storytelling with AI, and is actually tools that we use actually happen to be, among them, Adobe tools that we use, has really, again, allowed students to say they finally have found their role in the orchestra. That's the language that they use, that they know how they are contributing their story. And that's at scale, that's huge scale to try to do that. And we got over the debate, not because there isn't truth to some of the concerns around academic integrity, but it wasn't about how, it was about what. What can we unlock in terms of this opportunity?
Since you mentioned Adobe, and we are very honored to say that ASU is an Adobe Creative Campus, which is an expression of our strategic partnership. ASU has hundreds of collaborations with industry. La Trobe also has connections with industry. Where do you see it helping take universities in a fast pace in this AI environment?
I mean, I'll just briefly share that ASU's secret over the 22 years that President Michael Crow has led our university is from the very beginning. The very first partnership was with Google. And we created the Google education experience. And then it was with Salesforce. We have some friends from Salesforce who are here. And we created the education experience that you're paying too much for at this point if you're a Salesforce customer like I am. And the same is true with Adobe and the like. So the message here is that industry is driven at a clock speed that too few universities can actually replicate on their own. And so our approach has always been to partner with, and there are literally 350 relationships that are integrated into our learning environment through partnerships. Some of them are truly strategic, like our Adobe partnership. Others of them are actually point solutions that connect to and support the AI experience, or the data-driven insights, or the personalization experience, or the mobile experience along the way. Almost all of those are partnerships, and yet I have a very large developer team on my shop, and we got over it long ago that this wasn't about pride. Well, if we didn't discover it and invent it here, then it couldn't possibly be good. That's part of the recognition, especially in this AI moment, that the speed of the marketplace is something that we, at our own peril, if we choose not to find ways to engage with industry, will find ourselves probably not only in a laggard position, but actually will, in the end, probably erode, at least in the US context, even more the position of what universities in particular could offer to actually be relevant. We'll be there, but will we be relevant? And our answer has always been to partner. And again, next week in San Diego, some of the audience that's here will be with us. We have an annual meeting, and this is the 14th year, called the ASU GSV Summit. There are literally 7,500 organizations there, including 1,000 companies in the edtech space. Adobe is one of the sponsors of that event. And this is part of the DNA of ASU.
If I can add to that, our approach is like every other university. You already have some major tech platforms. We have them, Salesforce, ServiceNow, etc. Our view was really driven through strategy and focus. What are the real focus areas for the university? So an example is if you're looking at recruitment or admissions, and what are the use cases and business problems we're trying to solve, then what's the enabling tech to support that? But it's all done through partners. We're not there to build a tech shop or to do development. It's the partners that are moving much faster than us. So we've announced our partnership with Microsoft. It's been fantastic. We will have other partnerships as well with other major vendors. Because your skill set and what you see across other enterprises at scale globally is not experience we have. So our view is absolutely to partner, but be clear on your strategy and your focus and where you're going. Because not everyone is a strategic partner either, but has to fit into an ecosystem. So it's very targeted and intentional, but to support strategy.
Can I invite you now to enter a more impossible sphere? We've been talking a lot about what is happening, what is possible, what we're seeing, how ASU is really leading the way and showing us, look, this is already possible. If we make an exercise of thinking of the impossible, which I think is one of the beauties of AR, isn't it? It allows us to think of the impossible things, imagine the impossible things. What seems like impossible today for universities that AI will possibly make possible?
Well, I'm happy to go. I'll answer it slightly differently if I can. One is, we, in my role, spend a lot of time dealing with things in running of operations, which creates friction, which stops us from innovating on really unlocking that either student-centric experience or academic experience or research experience. So what's impossible is seeing our way through that while trying to innovate and completely change it. It doesn't seem impossible now, seeing what ASU have done or what others have done. So that, for me, gives us hope that we could achieve the vision that our Vice Chancellor just talked about before the afternoon tea. About 2030, we'd want a fully digital assistant for our students from beginning to end, for example. And to do that, we're not dealing with what I call the legacy challenges and the friction that we have in the day-to-day running of the university.
I'm glad you took 2 minutes to explain that, so I had a way to think about an answer to your question. I think what we are going to be able to unlock here is an understanding of just how adaptive we can be through our ability to harness AI, and in particular, in one specific way. I think there is a real concern today about the disruptive qualities of AI in many, many cross-cutting ways. And one of them is, has to do with the future of work. We've talked about skills today, but actually the future of work. Will there be jobs available into the future? And I think what the opportunity here, is to understand that we will, if we choose to be intentional and strategic, be able to demonstrate our resilience and adaptive abilities, and even come out even stronger, what I've called anti-fragile, even stronger on the other side. And it's for this reason, from 1950 to 1975, people entering the workforce in that period would change jobs 2 to 4 times. Between 1975 to 2000, that moved from 2 to 4 to 4 to 8 times. From 2000 to 2005, you entered the workforce, age 20, you worked for 45 years, you would probably have somewhere on the order of 16 jobs. And did the university stop actually doing in terms of what our core mission has been? No, we kept adapting to that reality. And the predictions, at least by the US Department of Labor, is that for the next 25 years, people entering the workforce, our students graduating, if we remain committed to the adaptive orientation, will have between 20 and 25 jobs in their adult lives. Are we ready to actually unlock that rather than looking in the rearview mirror and saying, wow, there's a lot of change in front of us?
Well, and there's a commonality on those 20-something jobs, which are the smart skills that you've mentioned, right? All of them will require creative empathetic, resilient human being who knows how to navigate digital tools. And I know that Martin will give me the look very soon, but I'll ask a final question. There are some universities, and both of your universities are testament to that are leading with AI. They're believing this digital transformation, have no questions about that. Maybe no one has any questions about that anymore. But it is true that there is part of universities that possibly will not follow that path because of a myriad of reasons. Will there be a space in the market for both?
Oh, at least in the U.S. context. I mean, everything that I've been sharing today it's not meant to be viewed as uncontested. At ASU, we have over 5,200 university faculty lecturers. There's plenty of pockets of critique, and then we welcome that through our engagement with our faculty. In the U.S. marketplace, there's absolutely going to be room for the segmented approach for students who are interested in different kinds of experiences. And at ASU, we're committed, at a school that now has 203,000 students and half of those online, we're committed to access. And there's lots of different ways you can have access. You can be in our honors college and have an intimate personal experience as you would at one of the Ivy League schools. And at the same time, you could do online and shift the times in which you decide to take the classes and so forth. And of course, across the entire marketplace with 4,000 colleges and universities in the country, there's something for everybody. Will everybody get on with the AI journey? No. Will that matter? Only in a kind of relative sense for the next 20 years or so. But I think for those committed to access and public service, we owe it to ourselves to be graduating students who can participate in the AI economy. And so we're leaning all in.
I think we agree. We think that they will get there eventually. It's about like every other revolution that you've said. And there may be ones that are waiting to say, well, we'll see what they do, and if they fail, and we'll learn from that, and then we'll catch up. What I suspect is that the market has, and the students and the expectations have shifted. So you will see a shift on attraction for students to say, well, that's flexibility and ability to meet my needs is probably more attractive. And that will shift in terms of who leads and who's actually left behind. So we see this as an absolute focus for us in terms of just growth and retaining who we are.
Thank you. Thank you. Martin, do we have questions from Slido?
Yeah, we have some from Slido, and we might wrap them up with others that come during the panel session, and you're welcome to jump up and join in on that Q&A too. But I just wanted to leave and wrap this fireside chat up with returning to some things that actually featured in a podcast episode I did with you, Lev, just recently, because you expressed a really interesting view in that of perhaps, if I'm remembering it correctly, of all universities needing to think of the combination of both why and how they use AI in the future, and how that determines whether they will remain relevant. Do you want to articulate a little bit further about that and what you think the question is for every university in this room?
Well, again, I'm a student actually of history, not a computer scientist. And so I look at this in terms of the roles in which education, and especially higher education, have actually played in a functional relationship to the economy of the day. And that's a long story, but this moment in time, there is an economic revolution underway that AI is actually in significant ways accelerating, with lots of disruption, and lots of it is obviously contested. And with that said, I absolutely believe that it will be our long-term role when history is written 50 years from now about this moment in time. It will be, did we pivot? Were we adaptive enough to support graduating students through their experience by leveraging AI, driving research discovery that leveraged AI in ways that if we do, we become part of the answer. Martin and I have a certain age. If you're not part of the answer, you're part of the problem. And that, I think, is the risk that we raise. I just want to say one last thing about getting real, rolling up your sleeves, if you don't mind me saying here, Manuela and Martin. If you're, several of you probably know that there's an annual meeting in the United States, EDUCAUSE's annual meeting. If you're at all interested, next year, in the week before EDUCAUSE is in Nashville, October 23 to 25th, there is going to be an international hands-on workshop on agentic AI and student success. at Arizona State University, and we'll work through Martin to share it with the HEDx community, because it's a real opportunity to actually get your hands dirty, invite all of our friends from Latrobe and elsewhere across the country to come, especially if you're on your way to Nashville for EDUCAUSE.
That this collaborative nature is precisely, I think, what we were after in this panel, and you closed that beautifully.
We always like invitations to America, no?
We've been working on it, right, Martin?
Can you join me in giving our thanks to Manuela and our fireside chat?